Hey man, have you got me?
I've got your audio. I haven't got your video yet.
Hold on.
All right.
There we are.
Oh man, how are you, dude?
Hey buddy.
I'm happy to see you, man. I'm so excited for
All right.
this. Hold on, let me take a picture with my phone real quick. I want to brag about this.
Are you happy about it?
Oh, I'm so excited, dude. You have no idea.
So
I,
are you gonna be a young rock journalist?
I
Is that what
mean,
this is all?
that'd be awesome, but who knows? You're my first big interview. I'm so excited, man. I can't tell you how much it means to have you here, dude.
Oh, that's cool, man.
I mean,
Well, I'm glad to help you out as a young man. I'm glad to do it for you.
hey man, I really appreciate that. When you responded that you'd be willing to do it and open to the idea, I was like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be amazing. I've been bragging about this to so many people. So, you want to get started?
Did uh, did it surprise you that I'd do it?
A little bit, but I mean, I've heard you're a great guy, so I mean, kind of, but not really.
All right, let's get started.
All right, so I want to start off by you're in two of my favorite bands of all time, and you're obviously a very accomplished musician. I want to start off by asking, what are you most proud of?
Oh, let's see. I guess I'm most proud of, the legacy that I've created in my life, something that I'll pass on to my family, my daughter, uh, my better half, the rest of my family and stuff like that. And it always didn't come easy.
Right.
And, but you know what? Nothing ever really comes easy. If you want it bad enough, you work at it, and it really doesn't come easy after all. If you get it handed to you, then I think that there is a part of you that feels, uh, you know, like a self worth. You got to have a self worth,
Right.
and if you get it handed to you, I don't think you get that part of self worth. You know,
Yeah.
so I've tried to teach my daughter to go out, work hard. She's working hard. She's doing great. She graduated college, and I'm proud of her. And my significant other, she sings with Kid Rock.
Yeah.
She's been in music many years. And hey, what can you say? You go out, you try to do your best, and you work at it, and you punch through it, and eventually, it'll happen for you if your heart's in the right place.
Yeah. And I just want to start off by also saying I got to give a shout out to my buddy Cameron because he helped me set up the video and audio and recording all this. So
All right,
gotta
Cameron. Yeah, yeah.
we got to shout him out a little bit.
Yes, sir, buddy.
And I saw you guys at Riverbend for the first time, and oh my gosh, y'all kick butt. I mean, it was so cool. I was sitting there like a kid in the candy store. It was incredible.
Well, um, interestingly enough, especially with the way 2020 happened,
Yeah, no kidding.
um, we didn't. I don't know. We kind of almost didn't expect that at one point again. You know,
Yeah,
we were worried about the fans. We were worried about the fans. We were worried about our personal crew guys and their families, the band's families.
understandably. I
Um,
mean, I don't blame you.
yeah, and so when we got the go ahead that it was, that promoters were going to start booking shows again, it was a very exciting time in our life, and we were so happy to bring live music back, to the forefront. I think that I'm almost pretty well positive. Our first show in June, I believe, was the beginning of all the live music coming back. We played early June in Florida at a huge festival.
I remember I was anticipating hearing that y'all went out and played.
Yeah, man, and man, it was over. I was glad. I've always been a guy that loved going out and playing live music. I've never been, one that just always hung in the studio and recorded and all that stuff. That's what I was brought up and raised at.
Right.
My granddaddy Shorty.
I was going to ask about him, but you beat me to the punch.
He was he was a touring musician, and he brought me up, to love live entertainment.
Yeah.
So I couldn't imagine myself all of a sudden in 2020 not ever going back out and ever playing live again. It didn't equate.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So now we decided early on that we missed all these shows and really felt bad that, people had gone out and spent the money for tickets. And
I was one of them.
Yeah, and we said, my God, you mean to tell me we're not going to be able to play?
Right. It's unheard of.
So, yeah. So, basically, what happened is that we decided when we went out, we decided to call it Big Wheels Keep On Rolling, because we felt like we needed to give back to the fans, to the music community, the gift of music.
Yeah.
And that's what we're all about. Lynyrd Skynyrd's always been about the songs and the music, Lynyrd Skynyrd's never been about the glitz and the glamour of it all.
Right. Yeah.
And when we go out there with the full, to entertain that audience, that's paid their good hard-earned money to get in and see the band. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm glad you caught that show at Riverbend, because that was a real good one.
It was. I was blown away. I had seen previously Eric Clapton and Guns N' Roses, and then you guys are my favorite band of all time, and
thank you.
Yeah, and I saw y'all. I was just like, oh my gosh, they lived up to everything I was anticipating, and I built it up. So it was incredible, man.
I'll tell Rich Fortis, the guitar player for Guns.
Yeah, Richard.
I'll tell him you said that.
Thank you. Feel free. Another question I had was, you played drums on the Skynyrd demo album. I think it was released as First and Last in '78, right after the crash.
Well, it wasn't really, yeah.
I was going to ask how that got started, and why'd you ultimately decide to leave?
If the truth be told, and I'm sure you've read a lot about that time in history.
Yeah.
But see, I was I was originally signed as a band member to Lynyrd Skynyrd, contractual wise, for recording, management, all that stuff.
And isn't that why you couldn't get writing credits on the No Reservations Blackfoot album?
Of course. So you know your history.
Yeah, I've got a lot of your guys' stuff on vinyl, so I had to throw that out there that I knew that.
So the deal is, there's been a lot of controversy about me. There's been pros and cons, people getting arguments, that I was an original member, I was not original member, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
But, if truth be told, you can count me as an early stages, back when Larry Johnstrom from 38 Special was the bass player. So really, it was Ronnie, Gary, Allen, me, and Larry Johnstrom, and we were signed, and we were the original guys.
Right, yeah.
Right there, yeah.
And didn't Greg Walker play with you on that album too?
He was about in the band. He was with us for a short stint of about 3 months.
Okay.
And then he left again. Then he left.
Yeah.
But and then I remained, and it was here we are today, and now I've been back with the guys. 25 years, 26 years.
Yeah, 25 since '96, right?
Uh-huh.
And then I was going to ask about Blackfoot. You're obviously a founding member of that band. How did that get started, and what was the inspiration behind that?
Well, what happened was, have I got you?
Yeah. You're good.
I've lost you.
Oh, really?
There you are.
Okay.
Yeah, it hiccuped for a minute. Um, Greg, Charlie, and myself, and a keyboard player named Ronnie Cheverossi.
All right.
We had a group called Fresh Garbage.
I wrote about that. Yeah.
Sounds like a punk band, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So Jackson and a keyboard player named DeWitt Gibbs, they had a band called Tangerine.
All right.
We decided to merge the bands together.
Right.
Well, we went about picking a name, and first time we picked the name Free, and found out there was already a band in Europe named Free. So we changed the name to Hammer, found out there was a band coming out in Europe. One day, Jack suggested, because of myself having native heritage,
Right.
and him having native heritage, and Greg, we decided, Jack said, why don't we call it Blackfoot? You know, it's powerful enough and people can remember it, you know, and it portrayed the music that we were trying to accomplish.
Right. Yeah.
And that's what happened. And it stuck, you know, and we went on, you know, of course, to do what we did. After I got out of Skynyrd in almost 1973, I went back with those guys about 3 months later. And we continued on, you know, till, you know, we had a couple of records out, the No Reservations, Flying High.
Yeah.
And then
You about struck.
Till we met, till we ran into the people at Atlantic Records. Our manager, Al Nally, got us a deal with Atlantic. And the next thing you know, we had a hit record on the Strikes record.
Great album. One of my favorite albums ever.
So you got to imagine something, okay?
All right.
So try to imagine. I've never had a hit record in my whole life, okay? And been trying for so many years to do so. All right?
Right.
So try to imagine Skynyrd's got a record that comes out in, you know, 78. The Strikes album comes out in 79.
Yep.
Skynyrd's got triple platinum record here, and Blackfoot, we've got a platinum record here.
Hey,
And
it's still a platinum record.
All of a sudden, I'm a guy that's never had a hit. I mean, and it's so weird. It's just really, it's just a weird concept in your head.
Right.
And I didn't even know how to act, you know?
Yeah.
But you know what? It was a blessing, and I was very thankful for it, man. And you know what? I never dreamed, you know, I always had this thing in my head that I always wanted to play music. I never wanted to do anything else. And, you know, all of a sudden I made it with not only one band, but two bands.
Two great bands at that.
So, you know, it's like a lot of people never get a chance even with one, you know?
Right.
So I feel very forced and very fortunate and blessed that I was able to do so. You know?
I mean, that's awesome, man. Since we're around that time, I don't want to dampen the mood, but where were you on the night of the plane crash, and what was your reaction when you heard? Do you want to talk about it, or?
Well, you know, all of us have kind of, you know, that subject has been explored so many times. Mm-hmm. I did get invited on that trip. A lot of people, you know, might not believe that, but I did get invited on that trip only because I went over to the studio to take my granddaddy Shorty over to see Ronnie and the guys.
Yeah. Because
he loved those guys, you know, and he loved Ronnie and he wanted to go see Ronnie. And I took him over to the studio, and Ronnie just by chance said, "Hey man, we got our own plane. Do you want to come ride with us?" You know, and I said, I'd love to. Well, a day and a half, 2 days before they were to leave, Blackfoot ended up getting 2 weeks worth of shows.
Oh man.
And so what happened was I heard about it after a gig. They flew out of Greenville, South Carolina, the day that we came into Columbia, South Carolina.
Okay.
As fate would have it, right? All of
Yeah.
a sudden, here I end up in Columbia. They fly out of Greenville. Well, I heard about it that night, right at the end of our show in Columbia. And I came home to call my parents, and my parents, of course, were waiting up on me to call because they knew I was going to call. And they're the ones that told me it was true, you know. But fast forward, and when I got back with Lynyrd Skynyrd on our first European tour in '96, when I got back with the band, we're in London. And we tour buses. And so Gary and I and his wife Dale are sitting up front and looking out this big window, and he reached over and tapped me on my arm here, and he says, "Where were you that night?" And I went, "What do you mean, Gary? Where was I?" He goes, "You know what I'm talking about. Where were you?"
Right.
I said, "Oh," I said, "Well, Gary, as it happens, I was right down the road from where y'all flew out. I was in Columbia, South Carolina." And he says, I said, "You know, Gary, I always thought that maybe if I'd have been there, you know,
Right.
I could have done something. I could have said something." He goes, "Rickey, you couldn't have done anything. It's just the way it was, you know?"
Right.
And he goes, "It wasn't meant for you to be there then. It was meant for you."
Can you repeat that? Sorry, you cut out. But it was important for you to be there then? What were you saying? I'm sorry, you cut out.
Well, Gary said, "You know, Rickey, it wasn't important for you to be there then. It was important for you to be there now."
I just got chills up my spine from hearing that. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, man.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, you're obvious, and I want to ask, what was Ronnie really like as a person?
Oh.
I've always been intrigued by this.
Well, depending on what day you catch him on.
That's what I've heard.
But you know what, though, really deep down inside, man, back then, working with him, I loved working with him. He was really, had an incredible mind. He knew how to put into words really relate to. He was a Southern poet in my book.
Definitely.
And I had great times with him. I never really, pardon me, I never had any bad times with him. He was always really good to me. He loved my mom and dad. He loved my dad, Shorty.
Isn't that why Curtis Lowe was written?
That's exactly it. Yep.
Yeah.
And that's why he dedicated that record. He dedicated it to my old man.
Yeah.
So,
and he wrote Made in the Shade for him, right?
Yep, because my old man was always telling us, one of these days, fellas, you boys keep doing what you're doing, you're going to have it made in the shade.
That's awesome.
So you know what? I loved working with him, man. We had great times. And you know what? I had so much respect for him, and still do. You know, I love the guy.
Right. And, well, you're obviously one of my guitar heroes and biggest influences, just listening to music and trying to learn to play. Who are some of yours?
Well, let's go all the way back till when I was 5 years old. You know, a lot of guys in my dad's band, but my biggest influence was my granddaddy, Shorty.
Right. That's awesome.
He not only to play, but he taught me the love and respect that goes into being a musician.
Right.
The heart that you put into it, the work ethic, and he was the greatest to me. He could play so many different instruments, and not only play them, but he played them great.
Yeah.
And that's what made him a great musician. And I, you know, as a young a boy, I wanted to emulate that. I wanted to be like that.
Right.
And I remember one of the biggest things he told me one day. He said, don't try to do what I do. You do what you do. You know, pick an instrument or whatever. You do what you do. Well, my love was for the guitar.
Right.
And singing, passion.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, playing drums. I love to play drums. I love to play keyboards sometimes. I love, you know, I'll sit and tinker around on them, but played bass in a band. And I mean, I tried it all, but I loved, my passion was the guitar.
Yeah.
And you know what, man, here it is. You know, learned to play at 5. I'm 71 now, be 72. So that's how long I've been playing guitar.
It's awesome. I mean, you're pretty darn good at it, if I'm just saying. One of the things I wanted to ask you, me and my dad, we walked out of that Skynyrd show. My dad's seen you guys like 5 or 6 times in concert, and he walks out, he goes, that Rickey Medlock guy, he's one heck of an entertainer. That guy was born to be on stage. So I want to ask, where'd you get your energy from? And you go all out. You know, why do you go all out? Where you get your energy from? And
that you cut out there. I believe that when people come in to see you and they're showing you the respect to come in to see you, they've worked hard, they've been counting on it, man. It's up to you. It's your duty.
Right.
To go out there and give them 110% of yourself until you're just drained.
Yeah.
Every night at the end of Freebird, I'm drained.
I can see why. You put everything into that.
Yeah. And not only that, man, because I have a real love and respect for the Lynyrd Skynyrd music.
Yeah.
I had a love and respect for Alan Collins.
Alan's great.
Came into the band, and when I came into the band, I told Gary that I would do my best to always keep the honor and the memory up of Alan,
Yeah, and it's funny, you guys play the same guitars too.
Well, ironically, we did,
Right.
So the interesting part about it all is that Gary felt that I was probably the closest thing to Alan that he would ever be able to get,
Yeah, I see. I get it, man.
So I came into the band, told him, I said, look, man, you know how I felt about Alan. I said, I loved him, respected him, and I want to be there. I said, Gary, telling you right now, I'll be there until the last note in Freebird is struck.
That's awesome.
And 26 years now.
Right,
on guitar, and what I've done, I took Alan's all of his leads.
Right, yeah, I've noticed that.
And I know them, but pardon me, I kind of made them my own.
Right.
I put my own style in everything, keeping his style, but influencing in my style.
Right.
Okay. And that was important to me because I felt like Alan's style and my style was so similar anyway.
Mm-hmm.
We both loved Eric Clapton from the old Cream days. And,
I love Clapton.
You know what I mean? And that's he was our guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So when you listen to me play, if you'll listen to Spoon, for instance, I got my biggest influence on playing a wah-wah pedal from Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah.
Okay, because when you use a wah-wah pedal, you just don't sit there and keep time with it to where it's making the sound, and you gotta use that wah-wah pedal like you use your voice. It's like you got to make the guitar sing.
Right. Yeah.
So if you listen to the way I play Needle, I play it very similar to what Alan did. But I added a few more, a little bit more of my blues licks in it, and in the way Clapton would do.
Yeah.
So, it all works out great, man. I mean, it's always worked out really well the way I do it. And I have a good time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, the energy you give off on stage is awesome. I love watching it. You're a great, like I said, you're a great entertainer.
Well, I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, man. I said, man, as soon as they come back next year, I'm first in line for tickets again. I mean, I know they're my favorite band, but they just blew me away.
That's good, man.
Yeah,
that's great.
So I'm just going to tell you a little backstory. I met Johnny Van Zant, of all people, in the Atlanta airport one year. Yeah, I knew Simple Man, Freebird, Sweet Home, all the hits, so-called. And then I got obsessed. And, I mean, every Lynyrd Skynyrd song you discover something new with them. They're great.
Well, you know what? It's interesting every night that we play all of them.
Yeah.
In playing them, somebody might think we play it the same way, but there's a little something different in them every night.
Right.
Okay, to keep it interesting.
Yeah.
And it's really funny because people ask me, when people say, don't you ever get tired of playing those songs?
Yeah, well, speaking of my friend Cameron, he got tired after listening to him do it for a year straight with me. He's like, we gotta listen to something else when we're playing golf, man. This is tiring.
Well, people will ask us, and we go, no. I mean, you're part of a legacy.
Right. Yeah.
That may not ever be repeated again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so when we go out there, never bored with playing the songs.
Right.
The only time I ever get bored is getting on an airplane and flying.
Right.
That's really boring to me. You know what I mean? But I know that I'm headed to go do a show, and I'm excited about it, and can't wait to get there and see I love walking out there and seeing everybody smiling and having a great time. I feed off the energy. They feed me the energy. I give the energy back, and that's what drains me at the end of the night,
Yeah. And I was going to ask about playing shows, and, in America today, we're pretty divided as a country. I mean, it's got to be awesome to be able to go up there, even if it's just for 90 minutes, and nothing else matters except the music you're playing and the guy next to you loves the band.
Nothing.
Yeah. And
here's
awesome.
the thing. Here's the thing, Colin. If music could settle all the differences in the world,
wouldn't that be something?
We'd be so much better off right now today, not only as a country, but as a world.
I agree. 100% agree.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's too bad, man, because music heals. And that was one of the reasons why we loved going back out, because we said music will help people heal,
Yeah. Well, I remember when it first started, and I didn't know, but my parents had bought me Skynyrd tickets for my 17th or 16th birthday, and they showed me, but we of course were locked down at that time, and they said, we tried, we don't know if you'll get to see them, but just we tried. And then when I heard you're coming to Riverbend, I was house sitting, and I called my dad. I said, Dad, Lynyrd Skynyrd's coming to Cincinnati. We got to get tickets. I mean, I was so excited when I saw that, dude.
Well, that's great, man. That's great. So you and your parents, you've listened to all the music that they've listened to. So
here's me and my dad. My mom, she likes Lynyrd. She said, I like Lynyrd Skynyrd. The people in it have been very kind to you, Con. She just has a little problem with the long, extended guitar solos. She says it's going to make me want to shoot someone. That's the only thing she doesn't like. But she loves the lyrics, and I've already told her we're going to dance to Simple Man at my wedding. That's my plan.
There you go.
So,
there you go.
Yeah.
You don't know how many times I've heard that.
Yeah, well, that's my goal. And then, what was it like when strikes, took off and you guys were doing, not just tours in the U.S., but tours around the world and headlining at that?
Well, we had worked for so long, had so many ups and downs.
Right.
So we 2 records that came out, they failed. They didn't go platinum, they went vinyl.
Yeah.
And when that Strikes record came out and hit, I can't even describe. It was after all those years of working hard, playing in every bar that we could play in and every jug joint, just like working for MCA.
Just like working for MCA.
Yeah. When that happened, there was nothing else like it. I mean, we were on cloud 9.
That's awesome.
And it worked for a while until personal feelings and business got in the middle of it and got in the way of it.
Isn't that always how it goes? Sadly?
Yeah. And it even right now today, to be honest with you, it saddens me even today.
Yeah.
But can't go back. Got to keep going forward.
Yeah.
And you know what, man? I'm just happy that I'm out here getting up and entertaining. I give thanks every day to opening my eyes and being able to strap a guitar on and play for people like yourself and tens of thousands around the country and all that stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a great feeling.
I can imagine, man. I mean, I remember I obviously got into Skynyrd first, and my dad said, why don't you come listen to this? And he played Train, and I heard that harmonica, and I was like, what is that? And he said, oh, just wait, it gets better even after that. And I remember just listening, I was blown away. He goes, oh, by the way, this is Rickey Medlock from Lynyrd Skynyrd. This is his band. I went, man, it kicked butt when I first heard that.
My granddaddy was a hell of a harmonica player.
Man, he could play anything. He played the banjo on Rattlesnake Rock and Roller.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So then I got to ask, what's your favorite song you've ever written? It can be with Skynyrd or Blackfoot.
Yeah, man.
So, what's your favorite song you've ever written? It can be with Skynyrd or Blackfoot.
Wow. Oh, that's an interesting question.
Written a lot of great ones, in my opinion.
Well, with Blackfoot and Highway Song.
Can you repeat that? I'm sorry, you cut out again.
One of my favorite songs is Left Turn on a Red Light.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, one of my favorite songs that Blackfoot ever did was Left Turn on a Red Light.
Yeah, I know that one. I was just listening to that on the way here.
That was one of my favorite tunes off that record. I guess probably my favorite song that we do in the Skynyrd show probably is Tuesday's Gone.
Great song.
Everybody always notices me when we start that song. I walk out front and go, my song,
Yeah.
But I love the lyrics to it, what Ronnie says. I love the way he sang it.
Yeah.
I know everybody loves Simple Man, and I love Simple. Something about Tuesday's Gone because it reminds me of my mom and dad.
Yeah.
My dad with the train because he loved trains.
Train Roll On.
Yeah, and my ma just loved the song, period.
Yeah.
So it makes me think, when we do it, man, it really takes me back and makes me think of my folks.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, sitting here right now tonight, I my grandparents saved my life when I was an infant, you know,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't be here today if it hadn't have been for them.
That's awesome.
And I give them all the credit. I give them kudos for everything they did for me, you know. And I think about them often. There's a lot of stuff that reminds me of moments I've got, so I'm always reminded of him from that.
That's awesome.
And pictures and everything else, you know. So it's something that, you know, I when we play certain songs, takes me back, you know.
Yeah. One of the, oh yeah, here, hold on. Get my other page out. What are some of your favorite guitars to play just in general? Doesn't have to be Gibson's, your Explorer, or whatever. It can just be in general. But I'm sure that is one of your favorites.
Well, I've always been a Gibson guy.
Right.
My granddaddy had old Gibsons. So I was brought up on Gibsons.
Right.
As you well see, I've got a very old original Explorer that I play all the time.
Yeah.
My old Firebird, I got my old Firebird on, you know, out on the road. It's that Firebird actually, come to find out, was a prototype, you know.
Oh, really?
From what the production models were made from. But I've got old Les Pauls, you know, I've got a couple of Strats laying around, and, you know, but Gibson has always been make guitars for me. And for some reason, when I put them in my hand, they don't match the vintageness of my old guitars.
Right.
My guitar tech, you know, he guards my guitar vault real closely.
Yeah, there's some valuable guitars in those.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's like a little badger. He'll get on you if you get anywhere near it. You know what I mean?
That's awesome.
But you know what, man? I can't say enough about guitars as far as Gibson goes. They're just they fit me. They're one of a kind, and they're the greatest.
Yeah. What are some of your favorite memories from the stage or just being on tour with Skynyrd or Blackfoot even? I'm sure there's a million of them, but
well, I got to tell you, first of all, my favorite memory with Blackfoot was when we played the Donington Festival in England for the first time.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
We had almost 200,000 people at that thing.
That's awesome.
And we went over, we were a breaking band. They called us the Darlings of Donington.
Really?
Oh yeah. And that's what broke Blackfoot really wide open over there in Europe. With Lynyrd Skynyrd, there's two of them.
All right.
The very first night that I stepped on stage, back with them as their guitar player in West Palm Beach, Florida. And my other one is when we played in London, and we played Albert Hall.
Yeah. I lost your audio. Hold on.
And this is where all the great bands, everybody, Albert Hall is where all the great bands played in their day. Hendrix, Cream.
I say I've seen Clapton play there on YouTube a million times.
I mean, here I was standing on the same stage as all them guys.
Right.
Stood, you know, my heroes, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And Jeff Beck.
Jeff Beck.
I love Jeff. I'm a big Jeff Beck fan. And so here I was standing there, and at the end of Freebird, I didn't want to leave the stage. I mean,
Right.
I wanted it to go on forever, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But those are some of my best memories. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. That's really cool. I'm just blown away by that. Can we talk about Snoop Dogg or not? Are we allowed to talk about that or?
Yeah, why not?
So what was that like? How was passing around? I won't say it, but that was him.
Well, I don't partake.
Okay.
I've never. Not too many people know, it's very little known, but I only have one lung.
Oh yeah, no, I knew that. Yeah. Super fan.
And a compromised, respiratory illness, but
yeah.
I get away from that. I've never smoked pot or anything,
Right.
But I got to tell you, that was probably one of the most memorable shows.
Yeah.
Because we're with that Snoop Dogg and Lynyrd Skynyrd would play together.
Right, yeah.
I mean, when we found out that's what we were doing, we were like, come again?
Yeah. I can imagine.
But you know what, man? He came back and he was one of the nicest guys.
Oh, really?
And I enjoyed meeting him and talking with him. And he is like he is on TV or anywhere else.
Yeah, just down to earth.
That's the way he is.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it, man. I really did.
Looked like y'all were having a great time. I saw it on Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
I just started laughing. I said, I did not see this coming in a million years. Oh, man. It looks like a great time.
Yep.
So, are there any particular cities or venues or whatever that you love playing?
Well, I just named one of them.
Well, yeah.
One of them. Every venue in every city, they have great fans, and they're all different in their own way.
Mm-hmm.
They're never, they're never identical, I guess. They're not just alike all the time.
Right.
I just happen to love whenever we go to play. Really, to be honest with you, I try to make that venue my favorite venue.
Right, yeah. I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I guess for the most part of it, man, you got to, when you ever get to this stage to where you're playing these kind of shows and you're doing the stuff that we do, you enjoy it. You know what I mean? Something, man, that a lot of people would love to be doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, to me, there's nothing in this world, Colin, if you ever get to do it, take it for what it is at the moment. Live the moment and never forget how you got there. And never forget the people that helped you get there.
Right.
There's an old saying, don't burn any bridges.
Right, yeah, no kidding.
Because on your way up, because on your way back down at some point, you got to go across that same bridge.
Right. Yeah. So my favorite new Skynyrd, I just consider it Skynyrd album, new Skynyrd album is God and Guns.
Oh, yeah.
I cannot believe you guys named it that. I mean, that's just, you had to take heat for that. What did you say?
That you cut out on me.
Oh, okay.
You cut out on me.
I said you had to take heat for naming it God and Guns because I just cannot. I mean, I cannot imagine.
I don't. You know what, man? I don't mind the heat.
It's what you believe in.
I believe in the. I'm a look. Love my heritage, and
Sorry, you cut out there.
You know what? I said as part native, I love my heritage, first of all. Mm-hmm. And second of all, I believe in the Constitution.
Amen.
I've been a lifelong NRA member. And the second thing of all, I believe in a higher power.
Mm-hmm.
And if people want to bash us for whatever, we got bashed pretty well much for that, you know.
Yeah.
For that for that record.
Then you went and played the Republican National Convention.
Well, we didn't even play look, we'll go play for whomever.
Right.
You know what I mean? Now, we won't play for the Communist Party.
Amen.
You know?
Preach.
I mean, well, you know what, man? What I really hate is I hate the division in this country.
Yeah. United States.
I hate that people can't sit down amongst themselves and talk and work things out.
I know. It's sad where we've gotten, yeah.
I detest all the violence that's going on in this country.
Yeah.
I don't like somebody pardon me, I don't like somebody getting on the TV and lying to me.
Yep.
You know, because, you know, the one things in this world that you hate the most is a liar and a thief. And you know what I mean?
Sorry, you cut out again.
I said the two things that I hate the worst is a liar and a thief.
Yeah.
And we got a load of them in this country now.
Yeah.
You know?
Starting with the politicians.
So, I just, it bothers me that we can't sit down, no matter what your party affiliation is, and no matter what color you are, and no matter where you come from, or your religious beliefs, or whatever. We can't even sit down and talk about it. You know?
Right. Yeah, no, I completely know what you're saying.
And it really bothers me. It does.
It's sad that we've gotten to that point. I agree.
Well, and for a guy like you, you know, you're 17.
Yeah.
You're on your way to find out about life.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to make it real hard on you.
Yeah.
You know? Generations. I worry about that for your age group and younger. And hell, I even worry about it for my daughter.
Yeah.
You know, my daughter's 30 years old, and I worry about it about her.
I can see. I mean, you have plenty of good reason to.
Yep. So, you know what, man? All I can do is hope and pray for the best. Keep a positive thought, which I've always been about positive energy anyway.
Right.
You know, you got to stay positive through all the bull crap and do your very best. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to tell you, when I was at a Trans-Siberian Orchestra concert the other day, and you texted me. I was like, well, there's a concert going on? What's going on here? I was like, and my brother goes, put your phone away, we're at a concert. I went, do you want to know who just texted me? Do you really want to know who just texted me? And it just made my day.
That's cool, man.
So, I mean, is Skynyrd, I guess I should ask, is Skynyrd going to do more dates next year? Is there a new album coming out?
Are.
Do you not know?
Sure we are. We're gonna do more shows, man. We got a lot of making up to do, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I look forward to it. And Gary's doing good?
He's doing much better now. Yes, he is. I'll tell him you said hello.
Thank you. I appreciate you coming on here. Thank you again, man.
Colin, let's hear it, man. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
All right, and I'm happy that I could have been a part of your very first interview. That's killer.
Dude, it's great. I'm so happy.
Text me about how I can tell people to watch it, and I'll get the word out.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate it. Have a good one, Ricky. Thank you.
Hey, buddy, you take good care of yourself, all right?
I will. Thank you.
All right.
Have a good
All
one.
right, buddy. Have a good one, buddy. Take care.
See ya.
Bye-bye.